number 6. We had two best of threes yesterday, and we had I think we had some pretty good matches, honestly, at least in my opinion. Hopefully, the rest of the tournament would also be really nice, and it should be pretty hotly contested because you do have two groups. Komodo and Roar will be going at it. We only have one best of 3 for today. Roar Gaming, again, a Chinese team, but infused with some Southeast Asian players as well, in the form of Lloyd. So it'll be interesting to see how Roar Gaming perform. Meanwhile, Komodo, they played yesterday against Atlantis, and while in that second game they did do pretty well, in that third game they couldn't keep the momentum up, and Atlantis came up with the win. Let's see if Komodo, because you don't have too many chances in the group stage. There you only play against 4 other teams. It is a 5-group round robin with 2 groups. So Komodo, ideally, they would like to win this game, but at the same time, Roar Gaming, they do have their Shadow Fiend. This is something that they love to pick up, probably their most picked hero, and Komodo will have to play against that somehow. Now, they do have the Mars, they do have the Tiny and the Queen of Pain. Now, in that kind of a scenario, Komodo should be able to burst this Shadow Fiend down. However, you do have the disruption save coming in from Roar, so that's something that you always do have to consider. I think that Roar will probably be okay as long as they can keep their Shadow Fiends safe, but their lineup is very squishy. They don't actually have too much sustain beside them, and they don't have any stuns.
Radiant team ban.
They do have some lockdown. They have some really nice roots coming in with the Willow's Maze and the Ember Spirit Searing Chain, but no real stun to speak of. So Roar, ideally they pick up someone that can build up some auras, someone that can actually frontline and has a stun. Now the Centaur is available in the pool. You don't have the... Okay, they will actually go for a Kunkka. This is very interesting because, and now sure, the Kunkka does come in with a stun and is a frontline hero. I wonder if the Kunkka will be going for that pipe or that Crimson Guard. Very rarely do I see those aura items on the Kunkka. Maybe he'll just go for that vessel if the Ember Spirit doesn't go for one. Or now actually you can build up multiple vessels too, to be honest. I'm not sure if that is still... just because they stack, you should be going for them. I do think that auras will be necessary, especially against the fact that you have a Tiny on the other side and the Queen of Pain, a Jakiro and a Mars. It's a rough lineup to play with without auras, that is for sure. Komodo have to pick up their carry, and I wonder what they're going to go for. They'll actually decide to go for a Life Stealer. This is something that they tried to bring out, or rather a team tried to bring it out yesterday. I think it was Komodo. I'm not sure. I mean, we will see. I will actually take a look at yesterday's matches. And it was Komodo that actually brought out a Life Stealer in that second game against Atlantis. But they ended up losing that one. They were playing against a Stark. Even in this game, they're playing against a Shadow Fiend. So this is going to be a bit tricky for Komodo. Or rather, this might actually end up being a bit tricky for Roar, because already you have such little lockdown for this Life Stealer. And now he'll also have the raid, so the roots aren't going to be affecting him. The Shadow Demon's Demonic Purge, though, that is a great ability against the Life Stealer. And I think that Demonic Purge is going to be the key to taking Monza out. Whether or not it'll be successful, that's something that is yet to be seen. But quite clearly, the win condition for Roar Gaming is the fact that they need to find the farm on their Shadow Fiend to be, play a 4 Protect 1 draft, and they have to make space. They have to get kills around the map. Are they going to be able to do that against the Queen of Pain and against the Tiny and the Mars? Their towers are also going to get pushed in. Olivier is playing a Jakiro, so he will have that liquid fire. It's it's a lot of pretty good abilities to spam out towards Roar, and I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on Roar, and they're going to be pressed for space rather than the other way around, where they're the one going around the map and creating it. Just taking a look at both sides of the draft here, I very much do consider Komodo's lineup to have the more favorable draft. And since the logos aren't here, I will update the logos from my end. There we go. Roar Gaming's logo should be up there now. Hmm. We'll probably be able to reconnect into the game shortly. Whenever the game pauses this early on, I always like to look for who has the best item set. But I'm not really seeing too many items available on anyone, really. I mean, the Kunkka has a cosmetic set, so does the Ember, but apart from them, everyone's just really playing with not too many sets here. Which is fine, but sometimes the set comes on and I don't really know what it is. Or, you know, like, I have never seen it before, and I always find that very interesting. Go Call will come out and we will resume. Let's see. Roar Gaming on the move. I wonder if they will look for a level 1 clash. You can do that, but at the same time, it is going to be a bit risky. And for the side of Komodo, perhaps they should be looking for a level 1 clash. I mean, they have the Spear, they have the Dual Breath, or even the Liquid Fire and the Avalanche. And as I say that, both teams are actually going to go for a simultaneous smoke. They're on opposite sides of the map, though, from each other. And they won't actually come across each other if they continue with their current trajectory. Going to be a bit of lag that Olive going to face, but the Go Call will be sounded out. Roar do manage to place a very aggressive observer ward towards that mid lane, actually keeping an eye towards that bot lane power rune and towards that mid lane in general. Although a very narrow tunnel vision view of that mid lane, you can't really see too much there. But Azor, his smoke will probably be revealed if he walks too close to the Ember.
Battle begins.
We'll actually go for the body block on that wave, so it should expect the Queen of Pain, should expect Azor to have the lane momentum in his favor once the creep waves do merge together. Although Knight is actually doing a pretty good job at blocking these camps, so the lane momentum won't exactly be one-sided in favor of Azor. It's actually going to meet right down in the middle, slightly favoring Knight of all things. But let's see how the Queen of Pain and the Ember do. This is, of course, less of a skill-based matchup. Queen of Pain is going to dominate the Ember Spirit, but how much is that going to happen? That is still up into the air, because it does depend a lot on Knight's skill build. Is he going to be maxing out the Flame Guard? Is he going to be dodging out those Shadow Strikes with the side of Fist? Or is he going to go maximum damage to try and also zone Azure out? Because you can go for the Side of Fist and Searing Chains combo, and that does do a lot to a squishy Queen of Pain. Especially if you do have someone that can rotate. Although when I take a look at their lineup, there's not really anyone that can do that apart from the Dark Willow or maybe the Kunkka. But the Kunkka, double S, he's playing on the offlane. He's ideally going to stick around for a while before making any kind of rotations. Kunkka plus the Willow against the Jakiro and the Lifestealer. Again, this is a lane I think the Lifestealer should be fine in. Now, he will eat quite a few Tidebringers, and this is going to be a bit problematic for him. He's going to need a lot of sustain, so probably will expend a lot of gold on those tangos and those healing salves. At the same time, you should expect all of you to at least be able to harass some on, you know, the Liquid Fire, the Dual Breath to trade against Clove and Double S. So it's they still have some recourse in the safe lane, and at the very least, Monza is not going to be getting pushed out. He might eat some damage from the Tidebringer, but he is still at the end of the day playing a strength-based carry hero, so he should be able to find his farm. Oh, first blood gets drawn towards that top lane. Lloyd, it goes down. Tiny plus a Mars combo. It's the Avalanche Toss, it's a Spear Rebuke, it is a lot of damage, and that is something that Kismet as well as Lloyd will have to be careful of. It's a scenario where, you know, there's not too much recourse available if you do get tossed in. Sure, you do have that disruption, but you can't use it inside of that Avalanche. And once again, there is another toss. Lloyd did use a disruption before John or Leon was able to come out with the spear. But, again, you have to be careful of those. Mid lane, Azure is dominating the Ember Spirit by quite the margin, actually. He has 16 CS over the Ember's 9. So nearly double the CS ratio of the opposing mid laner. And that is not too good for Knight. I would assume it, at least as far as CS goes, to be a bit closer because you are playing a melee hero, but perhaps he's just getting zoned back because Azure, he's quite frankly targeting Knight any chance he gets. Leon, is he going to be able to find the spear? Does not have it off of cooldown, so can't actually use it. Knight is not going to be able to get a water rune in that bottle because both of them have been taken apart by the side of Komodo. So again, putting some priority to shut down this Ember Spirit early on is something that they're relying on. Level 3 Shadow Strike for the Queen of Pain means that clearly the intent is to win his lane over farm, but then at the same time he is also farming up nicely. Oh, topside again, another set of trades. This time around, Kismet will get some experience before he goes down. It is the first time he goes down, but he takes the offlaner with him. So I'm not exactly too sure if Komodo if that's worth it for Komodo. I mean, sure, you do find the kill on the Shadow Fiend, but towards that bot lane, Clove finds the kill on Olivie. I am missing these kills. I do apologize for that, but it does seem to be even trades throughout the map. Less so towards that bot lane, of course, because you do have a kill for Clove, and Double S has the most amount of CS in the game. Monza doesn't have as much CS, but will actually acquire the banner creep thanks to Clove. Not too sure if he was gonna get that one always. Clove held in by that liquid fire. Blood grenade also comes out. Monza is coming in but ends up getting rooted instead, and Clove will TP out. However, Lloyd will fall towards that top lane. Clove certainly Deco 3-0 right now for Komodo. Deco is the one who's doing the most so far in this early game. It is very, of course, very early to actually call it. Kismet might want to be a bit careful because Deco, he has the toss, will actually toss Kismet back, but the rebuke from Leon misses. So the Shadow Fiend will stay alive. It could have gotten a bit tricky if he did get hit by that rebuke, because he could have gotten speared back. He does have the Falcon Blade at the moment, so even though Kismet is playing a squishy hero, he still has about 1000 HP. There's another toss. Leon will go for another rebuke, will skewer the Shadow Fiend, but just apply a bit of damage. They won't press the case, they won't go for any kind of committal play. Both mid laners do have their level 6 online. 7-minute Power Rune is going to spawn, but neither one wants to actually make that move. You do have Olivie here, but Olivie, unfortunately, he is a visible Olive, because you do have an Observer Ward right on top of that Jakiro. So I really doubt that Roar will get caught by this play. At the very least, this does mean that Komodo should be able to secure their own Wisdom Shrine, because no one's really going to go for that. It is up, and they've already actually taken it. I wonder what itemization Azure is going to go for. Is it just going to be a Blade Mail build this game? It is a nice item, but I don't think it offers you as much defensibility against a long-range set of spells coming in, such as the Slide of Fist, Searing Chains, maybe even the Kunkka's Ghost Ship. Oh, that's a nice Searing Chains found by Knight. However, he remnants back. And Deco is here with the Avalanche. Sonic Wave will get sent out, and Knight is going to be saying goodnight. Azure able to pick up the kill, and that was probably, you know, can we just be classified as a freebie that Komodo will get. Of course, he did not know that Deco was there, but he knew that he was outnumbered with just a hero too. And now Kismet is in trouble. Deco is coming in from that backline. Avalanche cancels out the Requiem, and that is yet another kill for this Tiny. A dominating streak already built up. And it does get a bit tricky for the side of Roar from here on out. I mean, you have a Lifestealer who is trying to play active. Sure, Monza wants to go for that Radiance, but right now, he wants to go for the tower. Glyph will be forced out as Clove on, and as well as the Kunkka on the other side of the map, look to pressure this tier 1 tower on the safe lane of Komodo. They should be able to apply equal amounts of pressure. I think the top lane tower for Roar is going to fall first. At the same time, there are quite a few more creeps over on that bot lane. So at the end of the day, it will probably just be a trade. Especially as Kismet joins in, this tower is going to fall. Both towers falling at nearly the same time. Space being opened up for Roar though. They can now farm up towards this bot lane a lot easier. It does make that top side riskier for them to farm in though. For the Shadow Fiend, I think Kismet should just stick around towards the triangle and towards the bot lane. Maybe towards the tier 2 camps over on the mid lane side, but that's about it. You cannot show up pushing far out into your safe lane anymore. That is considered a death zone for most carries out there. Right now, Knight is the one in trouble. Sonic Wave once again gets sent out. Knight has not fallen. Disruption save comes in from Lloyd, as it will be Azure that goes down. Deco, now the one in trouble, has Double S hot on his tail. And the Craggy Mountain that moves, apparently, is barely left about 320 HP. Now, he does have the stick as well as the Fairy Fire, so you can expect an additional 150 HP out of this Tiny. So that brings his total to about 480 or so. Not too sure if Roar actually have that amount of damage packed in right now, considering there is no Ghost Ship. Deco will not even pop his stick. Roar will go back though, because they do see Leon, and this Mars does not have a Blink Dagger. will use the arena and should be able to make it out thanks to that. Double S, he's still chasing. He will get skewered. John, this is a kind of like he might feel like he's in a game of Burnout Paradise or even Need for Speed at this point, but no. The chase will not go on for too long. It was Deco though. Again, Deco has been having a phenomenal game. 5-0-1 on the Tiny. Azor on the Queen of Pain. Does seem to be doing pretty well.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Olivie. Twelve and a power rune is going to spawn, and it's going to be a haste rune, so that knight will pick up. So quite clearly, Clove will look to take a fight. They do know that Azor is there towards that mid lane. They see him. Olivie's actually used his ice path, and there's going to be an orchid that's come out from Double S. If they want to chase after that Queen of Pain, Azor will eat that ghost ship, but will be able to blink away. Meanwhile, Leon with the arena has not been able to find much apart from that Jakiro. Azor will end up going down. Deco, he has a huge streak on this Tiny, will end up with that Orchid. Torrent is going to miss, but in the end, Deco is going to take a bow. A mega kill streak going the way of Knight as Leon over on that mid side finishes Clove. The two supports have been lost, but at the same time, it's Komodo who lose their mid laner. And right now, it's even Leon in trouble. Olivie tries to do what little he can with that ice path, but in the end, he too is going to be getting X marked back, disrupted by Lloyd, and with the full force of Roar on top of him, Olivie is going to go down too. 4 heroes being picked up by Roar. With the fight recap only showing about 2, and 900 gold going the way of Komodo early on in that, or in favor of Roar early on in that fight, you can probably expect around a 1500 gold lead swing towards Roar's favor, and they'll also be able to acquire the mid lane tower. The Shadow Fiend is farmed up, is going for that Yasha and Kaya for the kind of pseudo magic damage carry build where you build up some magic damage items first, the Yasha, Kaya, Blink Dagger, and then you later go for the physical DPS items. This is something that more and more Shadow Fiends are actually doing. It was I saw this first time in the first time around when Parker went for the magic damage build on the carry position. Then I saw yesterday Shadow Fiend going for it as well. Deco will end up getting stunned, but it doesn't seem like Roar have the appetite to chase too far for that kill. So they will let Deco go.
Deceptive rune of invisibility.
There's going to be an X-Mark, there's going to be a Torrent, there's going to be a dead Lifestealer. Lloyd will be able to pick up that kill. As an arena comes out towards that top side, Clove won't actually be caught inside of it. It's going to be Deco purged up by Lloyd, and a few hits from the Shadow Fiend will be enough. Lloyd ends up with a double kill. Across the map, he was there towards that bot lane, then teleported towards that top side to be able to get that done. Oh, this is looking a bit rough right now for Komodo. Olive is not going to go down. But at the same time, it's still Roar Gaming who are crushing the map currently. 5,000 of a net worth advantage. And it doesn't, rather does seem like Roar have, you know, quite the advantage being built up.
Worthy tribute. Dire are scanning. Radiant are scanning. Dire are scanning.
A full 5-man smoke right behind Monza. It's actually going to be Roar also behind the Ember Spirit. And actually the Ember E is also going to hug the tower. They sense something is awry. And they won't be playing it risky. They will play it safe. And they'll be better off for it. In fact, they're actually going to go for a Smoke of Deceit as well. Through their jungle. It's not the 20-minute timing. This is just a smoke to get something done. Olive is going to be revealed. The first point of contact going to be X-marked, going to be brought back and sent up into the air with the torrent. An easy kill to be found. But the real prize is that Mars, who has decided to blink out Leon with the blink dagger, actually has revealed it now. So Roar actually know that blink dagger is available. They can try to set up towards the Tormentor side, but it's still 2 minutes out for that Tormentor. So it's not exactly going to be coming online anytime soon. Can't stick around for 2 whole minutes. They will in fact disperse around the map. Oh, double S did get skewered and in the end Kismet, he did find that Requiem coming in with Ayasha and Kaya and a blink dagger of his own. He is going to get hit by that ice spot, and Deco's going to come in from the side. That should be a traded out Shadow Fiend. He does go down, but in the end, John or Leon also loses his life. Lloyd will be able to teleport away. Meanwhile, fight has not ended because Deco is the one in trouble. And now only Monza and Olive are the ones remaining. There's going to be an impending stun from Clove coming out on towards Olive, and he's going to eat that Bedlam. 4 heroes once again going down. With the Orchid on top of Monza, he is in big trouble. Creep is going to be infested. Searing Chains is not going to bring it low. Monza will just, in fact, infest out of that creep and go back to farming. He does have a Radiance, but right now, it doesn't really seem like they're in a position where they can actually take a fight. Taking a look at their net worth, it is that Shadow Fiend who is at the very top of the net worth chart. Even the Kunkka is at that 2nd place position. And sure, Monza is at that 3rd, but you have to consider the fact that this Lifestealer isn't playing... or rather Monza isn't playing a carry hero that scales up extremely well. He's still playing a mid-game oriented carry, one who does not win against the Shadow Fiend later on in the game. Deco purged up, a ghost ship is going to land, Deco is going to take a bow. And now even Monza is in trouble. No more rage available for about 7 seconds. The Terrorize comes in from that Willow, but Azor will come for some assistance with that Sonic Wave, able to push back at Roar. And it does seem like they will have to disengage. Double S, in fact, can't actually chase after in the pathway of Macropyre. Oh, Azor did go in very deep, and now Kismet, he goes in for a Requiem. Searing Chains, Slide of Fist combo takes out Azor. Leon is going to go down, and even though Monza is here in that Ancient Thunderhide, he is going to be outnumbered. Trying to go for the teleport away will be possible, but it will mean that Lloyd stays alive, and at the same time, no, Monza, he never went out. He never went out. He was brought back by the X-Mark, I believe, but oh man, that is a disaster. That is actually a full team wipe because Deco does respawn. He was the first one to go down. Tormentor is also going to spawn, and Roar, quite frankly, are going to be getting everything around the map.
Dire are scanning. Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Oh, that is very tricky. Honestly, the Shadow Fiend is about to hit that BKB timing, whilst Monza, he is clearly struggling. He does not even have a Yasha as of yet. In fact, no one from Komodo have hit that 10,000 net worth mark. It's a bit rough.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Worthy tribute.
Sanj and Kaya up for Knight. Clove has a Blink Dagger, Lloyd has that Glimmer Cape, additional survivability kicking in for Roar. And they have the Pipe of Insight now built up. Double S did go for that Aura item, and with the Pipe, this will help them fight back against that Avalanche Toss, the Macropyre, the sources of magical damage coming in. And quite frankly, this is a great timing to achieve because there's not a whole lot of physical damage available on the side of Komodo just yet. So this will enable their lineup pretty hard on Roar. Roshan is going to be targeted. No one really coming in nearby. It is going to, in the end, be a bit of a freebie, as it will be Kismet who will grab that Aegis for himself with that BKB. This is going to be the timing where Roar now attempt to try to break through some of these tier 2 towers. Getting closer to that first game win. 14,000 net worth advantage right now. No one being able to find much farm around the map, as Azor is going to be going for a BKB. Should have it because he can flash farm. I think he is the fastest farmer on the side of Komodo, but don't want to take too many safe farming spots. Now the good thing is Monza, his rage can't be broken through by any spell on the map, or rather in the game. There's no BKB piercing stun available. So at the very least, Monza should be able to rage and TP out, and that means he can farm up in riskier spots. Maybe even split push. But against Kismet, who comes in with around 250 damage per hit, these towers, it's very difficult to trade because Monza doesn't have that same tower pushing potential. And this is with the change to that presence of the Dark Lord, which no longer affects those buildings. There is no level 15 talent that gives you that. But over on that mid side, Deco did find a good enough pickup. However, response is going to come in. It's not going to be without punishment. Deco will, in the end, go down. Double S. They want to chase after Azor, but the steering chains, they landed on the Ancient Creeps instead of the Queen of Pain, so Azor will stay safe. But Kismet, he has a Chrysalis. In the end, they will just be mowing down or pressurizing some of these towers.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
As Olivi pressures towers too, alongside his life stealer. Monza, who is just going to teleport back to his fountain, does have that Manta style now built up. The question is this enough for them to take a fight with? You can use that Manta style to dislodge. It's actually Clove who is going to get dislodged himself inside of the arena. But at the same time, it is an arena used, and you can already tell Monzo, as soon as he starts getting hits by the Shadow Fiend, how much damage he actually takes. Kismet, just with a few hits, brings Monza down to about half of his HP. He does have that Infest coming in, Double S is very low. Olivie is gonna go down. That much is certain. As Azor blinks in, he does get a hit by that Orchid. But you do have Monza and you do have the Mars who come in. Deco too coming in with that Avalanche toss. Requiem though goes out, but it's not really found much. BKB activated by Kismet as he wants to take Deco out. The raise, or rather the last hit, will do the trick, but Deco instantly buys back because they know they have Kismet, who doesn't have a BKB. He's gonna try and go for that teleport out, and it will be possible. Deco was too late with that Avalanche. He blinked to the wrong target. He should have gone for the toss, Avalanche toss on the Shadow Fiend. They will be able to take out Knight, but they had the prime opportunity to actually take the SF out too. This could have been Komodo, who may have been able to equalize the game. Just simply because of the space they would have been able to create by taking out that Shadow Fiend. I mean, Kismet was holding on to about, is holding on to about 18,000 net worth. At the end of the day, taking the Shadow Fiend out should be your highest priority, just simply because of the gold and the experience that you gain. Pretty soon, Kismet will have that Daedalus as well as that level 20 plus 2 damage per soul talent. Olivie is gonna fall, but the Renina comes out from the side. Terrorized though, it's even better. It actually catches both Azor as well as Leon. However, you do have Monza coming in, but the Shadow Fiend, Kismet is here from the side using his Blink Dagger. A few raises will be able to take out Azor. As Monza, he does not have the rage available, and this is tricky. Infest comes out, but immediately the illusion gets taken out, and now Monza just needs one more hit to fall, and he will go down. Lloyd to pick up the kill. And again, for Komodo, these are some very shaky team fights.
Is under attack. Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant structures are fortified. Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Tier 3 tower now being besieged. There's no Aegis on the side of Roar, and ideally Komodo, they cannot let this go. Monza is about to respawn, so that means that Komodo will look to start a fight. Double S does get skewered to the barracks, but you have Kismet coming in with the Requiem. Olivie is gonna go down. Kismet is just gonna activate his BKB and teleport away. Azor hot on the chase. Knight doesn't have the Remnant available, but should be safe. But you do have Leon who'll come in with the skewer. Deco coming in with the blink. They have the Avalanche as well as the toss, but you do have another Remnant out. Knight, though, unfortunately, will be stuck inside of the arena, and that will be his grave. Leon will be able to pick up the kill there. It will be Double S in the end who will be able to teleport out,
Dire's middle tower
going
is
for that
under
Aghanim Scepter.
Dire's middle tower has fallen. Worthy tribute.
Leon, self-heal's not really gonna help you there. Kismet on a wicked 6 streak. In fact, he's not done. He wants a blink on forward, takes out Deco too. Monza will be able to take out the Willow, but needs to find that Infest. Monza fell! The Daedalus strike coming in before the Infest. 800 gold just from that one kill, and Kismet, he's now level 22. 3 kills going Kismet's way, 1500 gold, and a boatload of experience. In the end, Kismet will walk down that mid lane to get the barracks down. That is what they came in for initially a few minutes ago, and they'll be back here again. Kismet, he's gonna go in for the Requiem. Azor was able to activate his own BKB to absorb that damage, but you can tell just how deadly these critical strikes are. 4 additional reduction in the armor means you cannot fight Kismet right now. You just have to get back. He is reducing your armor by about a factor of 10. Azor unfortunately does not have the BKB, but it will be an arena coming out by Leon. A great Sonic Wave, but Kismet didn't take too much damage from that. He's doing pretty much fine. It'll be Olive who'll get chained up and brought down. That was a buyback coming in from Olive, and even Leon goes down.
Middle barracks.
Without the Mars, without the arena, without the Jakiro, this is going to be a 3v5 contest. Sure, they may not have the Requiem, but they still have plenty to fight with. But GG had already been called. Komodo, or rather, yeah, Komodo will give up game number 1. Roar will be the ones to secure the first game win. But this is a best of 3. Komodo can always find that comeback. I do think that this Lifestealer pick that Komodo has, or rather time and time again goes for, they brought it out yesterday, did not find success with it. They tried to come out with it this time around, and even though there were a few things that were going Komodo's way, in the end, the Lifestealer is no match for a Shadow Fiend. In fact, the Lifestealer is no match for most of those hard carries out there. So perhaps for Komodo, they should stick to just picking up stable meta carries, and that is how they can come up with the win. Because honestly, yesterday when Monza played a more stable carry like that Morphling, he played phenomenal. Even on that Kez, he did have somewhat of a decent game, but that Morphling performance was just superb. So perhaps Komodo should attempt to stick around to pick carry heroes like that. But guys, we will be back for the next game in this best of 3 between Roar and Komodo over at Lunar Snake Trophy right after a short break. So don't go anywhere and stay tuned. station, Lunar Snake Trophy. We are in the first and only best of 3 for today. Roar Gaming versus Komodo, as Roar are going to be one game up. Komodo, they're going to be one game down. And again, Roar will go for the same pick. The Shadow Fiend that they came up with last game, Kismet, was just quite frankly too far ahead of anyone from Komodo. And even though Komodo did find the farm on Monza, he was playing a hero that doesn't really do too much with that farm. So here's hoping that Komodo pick up a different carry, as they do have the Clinks. I wonder if this is going to be a mid lane or a carry Clinks. Should just be the carry, right? Because normally in most competitive meta games, you do go for the carry Clinks. Mid Clinks doesn't really exist. But at the same time, Roar do have that Beastmaster, so it can really go either way. You know, if the Clinks does have some good farm, you can tear apart the Beastmaster, his boards, the Hawk, everything. But if the Beastmaster has a good game and does get to that Academ Scepter and Blink Dagger timing, then he can essentially just jump that Clinks and take the Clinks down without Komodo being able to do a thing about that. However, you do have that Timbersaw who has now come in. Marcy, Largo as well. It does seem like it should be a Largo as a support this game because of that Timbersaw. At the same time, there is some decent, or rather some limited flex potential. You can send a Timbersaw down towards the mid lane if you want to play with an offlane Largo, but could also just run a support Largo. I know the meta is developing more around an offlane Largo than a support, but we will have to see the meta be more well defined. Roar Gaming do have that Storm Spirit pick coming out, and Komodo have the Queen of Pain ban. Well, I mean, Roar also had that one as a ban, of course. I keep getting the picks and the bans confused. I keep saying picks for the bans, but it's the bans that I'm talking about. Last two bans in specific remain. I think the supports are nearly even in terms of the value that they bring to the table. Roar do have a save mechanism with the Tusk, and you can even exit that Frog Stomp from the Largo with that Snowball. You have the Willow Maze against a Timbersaw too. It is a great ability to have. Willow can't be targeted by the Clinks either, or the Marcy in that Shadow Realm, so you do have some way to go about it. And Komodo once again do lack the stuns. I mean, you take a look at their lineup, the only real stun they have is that Rebound, which is a barely 1.4 second stun. You have the mini stuns coming in by that Largo, which are a bit of a nuisance, but you can always play around those, especially with a Hurricane Pike or something like that coming about for the Shadow Fiend. Komodo will pick up an Ember Spirit, so it does seem to be a Marcy and a Largo on the support position. Timbersaw off lane, Ember mid, Clinks safe lane. Their lineup is pretty, I would say, reasonable and obvious for Roar to tell apart. We will see what Roar pick up for their own side, because again, they must be thinking whether or not to send the Shadow Fiend down towards the mid lane or the carry position. Komodo, of course, think that this is going to be a carry. I would tend to agree. I think it should just be a Shadow Fiend on the carry position. And you can also play a Beastmaster on that mid lane. Now, I'm not saying that, Roar have a Tai Lung with them, but mid lane Beastmaster, I think more teams are getting accustomed to seeing that one come out. As Roar pick up a Primal Beast, so it should be a Primal Beast on that mid lane. It will be Knight playing the offlane Beastmaster. Kismet once again on that Shadow Fiend. So let's see who comes out ahead between Roar and Komodo. Taking a look at the full 5 lineup, I am a bit afraid of the fact that Komodo don't actually have much line lockdown this game either. But with the limited lockdown that they do have, you can set some things up. I mean, Deco can come in with the Rebound, even the Unleash at the back of the Searing Chains. You have Leon with the chains himself, honestly, with the Chakrams too. And you have Monza with the barrage, so you do have some really nice burst damage to take anyone down in the duration of the searing chains. But how do you take everyone else out? That is the big question mark in my mind. We will actually have to just wait and see what the end result will be.
Prepare for battle.
As the game starts, I have adjusted the logos in as well. Olive does have that sentry ward. Azor has the observer. A full 5-man smoke comes out from the side of
30 seconds.
Roar. Wonder where they'll actually head. Azor, he planted down that very aggressive observer ward towards that mid lane side, so I believe 1 or 2 smokes did get revealed, the Tusks as well as the Primal Beasts, so they know where, they have an idea of what Roar is trying to do. Olive, thinking about that bounty rune, will not actually walk down towards it. It will still be 2 bounty runes that Komodo will be able to pick up, so they avoid any shenanigans. Oh, actually, no. No. It's Deco who snuck out that bot lane bounty rune, so it will be Komodo who will come out with 3. And it will be Roar who will be left with just the 1. So an early game head start, not exactly very overwhelming, but still a bit significant since your team will have 250 gold more on the side of Komodo. And Roar, well, they'll have to make up that difference, as it will be a mid lane Beastmaster. Knight actually picked up, I remember, yeah, Knight picked up the Beastmaster, so he will be playing on that mid lane. It'll be double S actually over on that top side. And a Largo supporting Monza. This is, I think it's a pretty decent lane, because you have to consider, even though the lick is most of the time used aggressively. Oh no, Leon falls. Kismet was able to draw first blood, and you do not want to give the Shadow Fiend that early game head start, but it's a bit too late for that, as the Shadow Fiend has got infused about 400 gold at the back of that kill. Don't want your Timbersaw shut down this early on. It can get a bit tricky, especially as Kismet is playing a hero that can build up that silver edge for that break mechanism coming in, and you may have some aggressiveness, but even towards that top side, Olive goes down. Double S able to pick up the kill there, and Komodo need to pull the brakes. They need to slow things down. They are playing with some aggressive and defensive heroes, but at the same time, you can't give too much away on, honestly, each and every single part of the map. Your Timbersaw is quite clearly struggling. Leon only has about 4 CS. Shadow Fiend, Kismet, he will have uncontested free farm, as Deco looks to wrap around the tower to get to that creep wave, pull it behind his own tier 1. But still, he's just hanging around for now. And ideally, Deco is playing a hero that wants to play really aggressive, right? The Marcy, you constantly want to jump in. As John, he decides to timber chain forward. Tag team though comes out. You do have Deco coming in with the rebound as well as that dispose, but no, he's only level 1. He just had to dispose, and he'll bring Kismet back. The chain will miss, but still, they were able to get that Shadow Fiend down. John though doesn't have too much HP, so he needs to be a bit careful. It's in fact going to get a rebound now, because Deco, he does hit his level 2. John trying to get to that Timbersaw to be able to take him down, will be able to swipe him out. Leon will go down. Lloyd being able to acquire a solo kill with all of that experience also going his way. He has hit that level 3 mark, so this is going to be a pretty happy Tusk. Timbersaw, I was about to say Timbersaw, it's not exactly going to be a very happy Timbersaw, but perhaps Leon is content with the way that things went, right? Taking out the carry. At the end of the day, one of your jobs as an offlaner is going to be to try